My cousin revealed my diagnosis to my grandfather. Now everything's in chaos.
Was your diagnosis that you're a chaos wizard?
A year ago, I, 25 male, was diagnosed with limb onset ALS after a long struggle with experiencing foot drop and muscle weakness. For a few months, I hid my diagnosis from everyone until progression of the disease forced me to come clean. By the way, this comes from a live specialist, 8287, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dakota.
And I'm Keon, and that's Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. To be honest, I'm still coming to terms with this, and each day has been a living heck as I wake up not knowing what motor skills I'll lose next. I have always been fiercely independent and the protector of the people I love, so it unalives me knowing that everyone who loves me, my girlfriend especially, now has to bear the burden of my illness. The one person I haven't told is my grandpa, who raised me and my brother until we were teens because my parents were at work at the time. He's the one who cared for me the most, who has literally watched me grow up. I have always promised to take care of and give him the best of everything because he sacrificed to give me as much of a happy childhood as he could. Ever since I was diagnosed, the thought of having to tell my grandpa that his grandson has an incurable degenerative disease has plagued me. And I don't think I can gather up the courage to tell him or to face the fact that I can't fulfill my promise. He's nearing 70, and I want him to live as happily as possible without worrying about me. The other day, we met for a family dinner. I don't see my grandpa very often now, so before the dinner, I was adamant that my grandpa would not find out. My brother and girlfriend agreed to cover for me using a wheelchair by saying I've been injured playing soccer. Grandpa accepted the excuse, and all seemed to be well until my cousin, who wasn't aware my grandpa didn't know, brought it up. As I expected, he was devastated and couldn't stop asking me why I didn't tell him. Later that night, the sudden emotional shock likely triggered his heart condition. He has a history of heart attacks. My grandpa is now in the hospital, and I haven't been able to stop crying.
Oh, man.
My brother is furious at my cousin for revealing my diagnosis, and even more so for not being apologetic, since she's insisting that it's my fault because I should have just been honest with grandpa. She called me manipulative and a liar and said that it wasn't my place to decide whether grandpa could handle it or not.
See, the thing is, though, it literally is because it's your diagnosis. So your cousin's way out of pocket here.
Absolutely. It's not entirely her fault. It was an accident. It is not okay that she's responding like this. She could be a lot more apologetic.
Yeah, but he's in the hospital now because of a heart condition, so it makes sense she's probably being defensive.
Yes.
There's a lot going on here. It's hard. It's hard breaking terrible news like that to somebody.
Absolutely. The guilt is eating me alive, but at the same time, the aftermath just tells me that I was right to hide it because the news absolutely crushed my grandpa. I don't know what to do anymore except to pray that my grandpa makes it through. Am I the a-hole?
No.
And there are some comments, but of course you're not the a-hole.
There's not really any a-holes here. It's just, it was a misunderstanding. I mean, yeah, your cousin's not acting right, but it's like, it's an extreme situation.
Yeah. I mean, you're going through such a, I don't even know how I would react in that situation. So I don't think it's fair for anyone to tell you what you're supposed to do and what the right answer is, because I don't think there is one. But I think that all my advice for you is spend the time that you have left with your grandpa, where you have, not saying that we don't know how it's going to end, but it is, again, you lose a lot. Comment 1, not the a-hole. Oh, love, I'm so sorry. That's such a heavy diagnosis. You're not an a-hole, but at 69, your grandpa could live for another 20 years. You weren't going to be able to hide it forever. And he's a grown man. He doesn't need protecting from reality. He'll be devastated for sure. Who wouldn't be? His precious grandson facing such a hard prognosis. His heart will break, but that's part of life. And the earlier you know about something horrendous, the sooner you can start to process it, Your cousin didn't realize you hadn't told him. She's not an a-hole for bringing it up. It's a big thing, and your loved ones are going to want to talk about it. It's awful that your grandpa is in the hospital, but that's the best place for him to be, and I'm sure they're doing all they can for him. And it is not your fault or your cousin's fault. It's natural to want to grasp onto blame when bad things happen, but it doesn't really help. Give yourself and your cousin some grace. You've both had a very human reactions to a crap situation. Someone replies, maybe the cousin wasn't the a-hole for bringing it up because they didn't know, but their reaction afterwards turned them into one. Calling a terminally ill person a manipulative liar for wanting to tell people on their own time isn't crappy behavior. Reply, I mean, OP asked his brother and girlfriend to help him lie to his grandpa. I'd say that's pretty manipulative. In the cousin situation, I'd feel horribly guilty for triggering grandpa's medical episode, but also feel incredibly angry at OP for making this something that I'd done wrong. How was the cousin meant to know that grandpa was being kept in the dark? And then feel guilty again about being angry at my terminally ill cousin. And then I expect I'd end up doubling down because seriously? What was OP thinking? That he'd just lie to grandpa until one of them passed away? OP, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Do you have a therapist you've been talking to about your diagnosis? And OP says, I don't have a therapist, and quite honestly, I haven't thought about it, but perhaps I might look into it. It's just that care for ALS is so dang expensive, and the costs are just going to increase from there, especially as it progresses. And there is an edit. Thank you all for your responses, and especially to those who express things from my grandpa's perspective. Not sure how much this changes, but my cousin's husband saw this post and now cousin is livid. My brother just got off a call with her and apparently he did actually tell her not to say anything and let me take the lead. Just that she highly disagreed, so I guess this was her way of voicing her disagreement.
Well,
now she's the a-hole.
Now she's a huge a-hole, actually.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because I was wondering why the brother was so mad at her if she didn't know that she wasn't supposed to tell, but now it's makes sense that he was mad at her because she knew that she wasn't supposed to tell anyone. I didn't know about this part, so I assume benefit of the doubt that she didn't know. Again, appreciate everyone and will hopefully be visiting my grandpa as soon as we get more news about his condition. Consensus, no a-hole here, though there are some upvoted you're the a-hole and everyone sucks comments, mainly because I told everybody but my grandpa. And it was clear I couldn't keep this secret forever, so I should have told my grandpa early instead of waiting until I couldn't hide it anymore.
Yeah,
and
dude.
there is an update. I think it's really unfair to label OP an a-hole for this.
Yeah, you're an a-hole for being a human being, complicated emotions.
Yeah, dealing with one of the hardest diagnoses. But there is an update 18 days later. Appreciate everyone who commented, both support and honest criticism. Been making the most of whatever time I have left since then. Some of you were sharp and picked up that my ALS is fast progressing, which is very accurate considering how recently it's felt like jumping off one cliff after another, which I'm pretty shocked by. In a way, I do thank my cousin for spilling my secret because I didn't expect how little time I had before I couldn't hide it. My grandpa did pull through, recovered, and handled things like a champ. He's not in perfect health, and obviously neither am I, but we make it work. Per everyone's suggestions, I visited him ASAP and we had a long talk. I showed him my post as well, with lots of tears and emotional moments. I apologized for hiding my condition and promised to be transparent from now on. Although I got nagged and lovingly lectured at, I do think I felt relieved to get that emotional weight over with. Grandpa said a lot, and I can't include everything, but the main two things were, he already sensed something was off, though he wasn't sure what exactly, and definitely did not expect ALS. He needs no protection from reality and wants to support in any way he can. He'll be moving in with me and my brother, and we're looking at hiring caregivers so my brother's not overwhelmed. I've begun voice banking due to speech changes, mostly hoarseness and a slight slur, basically like a wasted Mickey Mouse. While the people closest to me can still somewhat understand what I say, Grandpa tops everyone else and is proudly serving as resident translator. Honestly, a pleasant surprise how well he gets my speech, but I'm so grateful he's gifted me these precious moments amidst the frustration. I've since gone low contact with my cousin for a variety of reasons, namely constantly disrespecting my wishes. The major one being that she came into my house knowingly with a cold, even while we had already warned people not to visit if they were sick in any form. ALS screws with my immune system, and at this stage, it's very easy for my respiratory system to become compromised, even with minor illnesses, minimal breathing issues so far though. By the way, you can listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
You know, maybe look into like some support systems online, some forums, some communities. If you can get some level of like, you know, just help with coping with it. No, I'm just sorry. I'm sorry you're going through this. It's terrible.
Impossible situation to deal with. But I'm glad that you have people around you who are, you know, there for you and love you and care a lot about you. I've learned a lot about myself and life in general through this disease, and given the aggressive progression, I am now mentally preparing to make some hard decisions. When I first learned about my diagnosis, I rejected tracheotomy, invasive ventilation, and a feeding tube, but recently I've begun to reconsider. I think the worst feeling is just being terrified of both living and passing away, trying to stay in a good place mentally and emotionally, and always grateful to have people I love and who love me by my side. I know this update isn't all sunshine, but I hope it gives some closure. Thanks, everyone. That is the end of that story. But anyone who's ever gone through, who has a loved one who is either passed or is going through ALS, some hearts in the chat for you, because that's a terrible, terrible thing to go through.
I revealed to my father's wife the truth about our estrangement, and it changed everything.
What was the truth?
My dad practically gave me up to his sister from the moment I, 27 male, was born. My mom passed away when she was giving birth to me, and my aunt told me he never recovered from that. It hurt a lot as a kid that at family events, he would ignore my existence. By the way, this comes from user told his wife, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give you good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do. So if you would do something different, let us know in the comments. You can imagine the amount of therapy that put me in. But the crappy part was that I never stopped trying to be accepted by him. After my high school graduation, he told me he has no obligation to me anymore since he was sending my aunt money to take care of me. Around that time is when I finally started accepting that reality. So from there, we moved on with our lives. My aunt doesn't talk to me about him. Sometimes my grandparents do. And that's how I found out he got married. They were mad he didn't invite me to their wedding, but to me, it didn't matter because we're not close. It was his wife who wanted to meet me. It's the first time ever that he wants to make contact, and it was to pretty much say she wants me in their life. She doesn't know the real reason about why we're estranged. He asked me to please not say anything, and maybe this could be a way to reconcile after all.
No, I'm telling her everything.
I think it's time for your wife to find out who you really are.
No, there are two options here, OP. You either ignore him and don't even talk to him, continue that no contact, or you tell her everything.
But he was only doing it for her. That much was clear when we talked. I never said I would be, but she still insisted on us meeting at their place because she really wanted to meet me. All she thinks is that we were estranged for not getting along in my teenage years, going to college and losing touch because of life stuff. It pisses me off that he played it off as us just not talking for petty reasons. Meanwhile, the actual reason damaged me for years. I told her the truth, everything he said to me. That he was never a parent to me, that was all my aunt. It was definitely a shock for her. The outcome was a disaster. Everyone has heard about this now. My grandma's, in particular, told me she understands my anger, but this was his chance finding someone since losing my mom, and now it's been put in jeopardy. My dad is devastated. They think it was going too far to ruin his marriage that way when he was willing to include me in their lives, which could have been the start of our relationship.
I'm sorry, willing to, I'm deigning to include you in my life. You're welcome.
Yeah, this was all just selfish for him. He was
so
like,
selfish.
All right, I have to do damage control because my wife is asking questions about you now, so I need you to play it cool. It's like, who? No.
Literally, he
I owe
thinks
you
this is some sort
nothing.
of he thinks this is like a good deal for OPs. Like, I get my wife thinking I'm a good person out of this, and you get to hang out with me. You're welcome.
And it's like, you think after all the work I've done to get over this and become okay with the fact that you don't care about me at all?
Yeah.
You want me, now you want to try? No, dude. Here's a healthy serving of your consequences. They say not only did I ruin that, but also possibly wrecked his marriage. She just doesn't agree at all with what he did, and it could have been avoided if I didn't say anything. For me, it was hard not to tell the truth after the lies made it seem like it was nothing serious. And also that it was mostly your fault.
Yeah.
And
it's like, oh, he was just being a teenager.
Yeah. I couldn't ignore what happened after what it did to me. I don't know if it was the right call since it put their whole marriage at risk, but what do you guys think? We've got some comments here. Outrageous Yogurt 80 says, not the a-hole. He has the right to know the true man she married. Also, I'm so sorry you had to endure all that. Your aunt sounds like an incredible person, and despite everything, I hope you are doing as well as you can be under the circumstances. OP replies, it took a long time, but I'm proud to say I am doing well. This whole thing reopened some stuff, but I'll be talking it out in therapy. And it's thanks to my aunt that I always had mental and emotional support. Nikki Fox 13 replies, I'm so happy that you're in therapy. It's life-changing. Your aunt sounds lovely and like a genuinely wonderful person. OP says she is. If it weren't for her, my life for sure would have fallen apart. My life is stable. I have a girlfriend I love and a baby boy on the way. My aunt is the reason for that. Aggravating Patient 18 says no matter how busy life can get, you don't forget to invite your son to your wedding. This woman should have insisted on meeting you before she got married to your dad. Estranged children are always red flag. OP says, I don't know how he managed to pull that one off. Shoot, by the time me and my girlfriend had gotten serious, I'd already met her whole family. Every distant cousin. Reply says, very dodgy move by your dad. He must have painted you in a bad light, so I bet she was expecting someone very different when she finally met you. Not the articulate and mature family man you are, for sure. Please keep us updated. I'm curious if their relationship survives this. She sounds like a woman who just couldn't ignore your existence, so if she stays, then expect she will lead a charge for a genuine apology from your dad, not the a-hole. OP says, I'm not sure about that. Otherwise, why want me in their lives, right? Or maybe she thought with some mediation, it would be different. She was super nice to me, though. Update. 11 days later.
Yeah, I think if she was really nice to you and also was the person who was pushing for this meeting, then she probably will either demand that he apologizes and actually puts effort in, or will leave. I can't imagine that she would just be chill with this.
Words can't express how much it meant to me getting so much love for my last post. Everyone who supported not just my actions, but also acknowledged the hurt. To all the sweet internet moms who commented and DM'd me, y'all know how to make someone feel loved, even by total strangers. Since so many people wanted an update, here it is. It's a little heavy, and for a couple days, I needed some time to process it and do some crying. They're splitting up. I heard it first from my grandma and then from his wife, or I guess ex-wife. She was legit crying on the phone when she called to tell me sorry for putting me in that position. Her and my dad had a longer conversation where he told her everything else he did, so she made that decision that she can't stay with someone like him, and she wanted me to know how disgusted she is, also to tell me thanks, which is something I really needed to hear. My dad is who he is, yeah, but regardless, two people splitting their marriage because of what you said is a hard thing not to feel guilty about. This lady is heartbroken, going through divorce just a few months after getting married. She wanted to make the time to reassure someone else that they made the right choice. Unexpectedly, though, my dad wanted us to talk yesterday, too. My girlfriend, again, didn't want me to. Trust me, I get her point. She's the one who didn't want me having dinner with them in the first place. For one thing, we didn't know what he wanted to talk about and what that would do to my mental health. It was probably a bad risk to take, but I met with him, and yeah, I should listen to my girlfriend more when it comes to this stuff. First time in my life, I think we had a conversation about my mom, how much he loved her, and them being happy and excited about having a family. But then, her passing away, and he told me, even if it's wrong, he can't ever not blame me because simply, if I hadn't been born, she'd still be here.
Wow.
Why don't we just blame the first fish that crawled out of the ocean?
Wow.
It's that makes no sense.
Just still how old is OP?
I don't think we had, do we have an age? 27, I think?
Presumably
I'll
somewhere.
double check.
Yeah, mid-late 20s.
I think OP's in their late 20s now.
OP is 27. 27, yeah.
To go 27 years and still have this thought that, oh, my baby, my child being born is the reason I don't have my wife. That you still think that way?
Let's maybe blame it on the healthcare system a little bit, because,
or just
depending on where you're at,
yeah, there are so many different reasons that are completely, some out of your control entirely. And it has nothing to do with the baby, because you guys made that, you as parents had made that choice to have a baby, presumably, unless it was an accident or something. But seems like you guys probably made that choice to have a baby. Baby didn't have a choice in being born.
Yeah, let's go back down the line. Wouldn't it be your fault for impregnating your partner?
If we're going to blame people, let's not blame the innocent baby.
He's only sorry for not completely staying away from me and saying horrible things growing up. And by the way, you can listen to full episodes with stories with people who, honestly, this is one of the worst ones.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst fathers we've ever seen. But you can listen to more full episodes with stories like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. Wherever you're listening to podcasts, just search OK Storytime, and you can listen to our whole archive. While he wasn't saying this to be malicious, since he seems so sincere, it was still an ouch for me. In the end, we decided having a relationship with each other was never going to happen, and said goodbye. He at least apologized for trying to put me in that position. First good thing he ever did was tell me what happened with his wife wasn't my fault. Then I just went home, had my day to process, a short therapy session, and support from both my aunt and girlfriend to get me through. The rest of my family is leaving me alone, at least, so glad that in the end it was resolved. Not a total happy ending, I know, but in the end it's better this way. We have some more comments. Sinful Lop said his late wife would be ashamed of him. And user Copper Phoenix says, I thought the same thing. If his late wife had known this about him, she would have rejected him outright long before OP came into the picture. He threw away the only piece of his late wife he had left. What a pathetic man. And that is the end of that story. Mother of goodness.
Yeah. Bad dad. Very bad dad. But it seems like you have a great support system. People are very aware that you're not in the wrong. So that's all you need. Don't worry about your dad. He sucks.
Keep going to therapy. You
Yeah.
got a good old girlfriend. Turn her into your wife.
Turner, yeah.
I
You're already getting a
suppose.
baby.
Having the baby.
Let's
you know?
get that. Let's make that girl your wife. That's the end of that story.
Yeah, that if we were gonna throw anyone into the sun,
That man
well,
going straight there.
throw him. If the sun is just a therapy session, throw him
Yeah,
in.
it's like a
Like,
warm
I don't know.
ball of therapy.
This guy should go to
27
therapy
years
jail.
of therapy.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. I caught a suspicious message on my father's phone, so I exposed him.
Expose him.
I am a 20-year-old guy with no real social life. My only social exposure is online with friends I've made in video games and my immediate family. I like going out to dinner with my grandmother and stepdad, but he's been my father figure for years. We went to a local restaurant, and while we were eating and chatting about current political events, I glanced over and caught my dad getting a text message from someone I'll call Abby. By the way, this comes from Fear Mangelli, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dakota.
And I'm Carly.
What? You're going to confuse the listeners, Keon. That's Keon.
They're gonna know that's not Carly.
I'm Carly.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we'd do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. I didn't get the full context, but it was on Snapchat. Her message to him said something like, I love you so much, thank you, with something about someone named Dan. I didn't get to fully see it, honestly, but I know my dad, and I know what is and isn't okay with my parents. I really wanted to ask about it, but wasn't sure if it was okay because it felt invasive. However, I felt burdened with the knowledge and didn't think it was okay to ignore. Later, we dropped my grandma off, and we were walking to our respective cars. I stopped him and asked, hey, I'm sorry this will be awkward, but who's Abby? And he said, what do you mean?
He hit him with the Justin Bieber. Said, "What do you mean?"
I told him I saw a woman message him. Now, I can't really convey this clearly, but I know my dad. In other scenarios, he would immediately tell me what's going on. He was playing dumb, and it kind of solidified my beliefs and fears. It almost felt like he was confessing, but playing, but can you make me say it? So I told him I saw another woman say, I love you. He took a second to think and said, I'll tell you later when we start driving. So I said, okay. That was progress and acknowledgement. I got in my car, he got in his, and I started driving. After like 5 minutes, I decided to call him. Once I rang, he picked up and said, hi. Like it was the first time we spoke that day. I was expecting him to kind of know where to start the conversation, but it was a hello like it was some surprise. I asked him, hey, I need to know what the text was about. He said, what text? And I was getting anxious and told him the one about Abby. He sighed and said, Abby's an ex of mine, and she started talking to me one day about how her husband divorced her. She was confiding in me about the divorce. I asked, does mom know about this? And he said hesitantly, no. He literally did that pause. Well, I told him, that's something I think mom would want to know, because that's not normal. You're married, dude. He just said, I know, and did a nervous giggle. At this time, I felt dissatisfied because my dad is my hero. I really look up to him. He's always been a get the job done kind of person, silent and observant. This just felt wrong. So I pushed him, saying, I feel like this may be overstepping, but as much as this is your wife, she's my mom. It would make me feel much better if you told her this person was chatting with you, because I'm sure over 2 decades isn't worth the sneaking around about this. Like if you just told her, hey, my ex messaged me, what do you make of this? She would understand. But knowing you're talking to another woman you once had a romance with and keeping it from her would hurt a lot. He said, I know and I will. I felt happy with that, so I left it at that. I later got home, but my mom asked my dad to go out and pick up my sister, who had been out somewhere. I called my mom and decided to put up a safety measure. I told her, hey mom, this is going to sound scary in an anxious way, but do not panic. I need you to listen to me, please. She said, okay, what's up? I encountered something today and I told dad to tell you. It's not something you should lose sleep over. Just know I expect dad to tell you something when he's home. Let's give it until Saturday. Just let me know if he says anything or not. Trust me, if he tells you, you'll know. Don't tell him I called you. She said, okay. I told her I love her and to sleep well. The dinner was at 7 p.m. I saw the text halfway through and we left at 8 p.m. Then we dropped Grandma off around 8:45 p.m. and that's when I confronted my dad. I got home around 9 p.m. and called my mom pretty much as soon as I got in the door. So I was sitting and waiting, and 10 p.m. hits. I text my mom if he said anything, and she says no. My dad goes to bed at 10 p.m. for work. I kind of cracked, because next thing I knew, I was putting on my jacket. I texted Mom, don't go to bed, I'm coming over. I know I said to her, let's wait until Saturday, but I felt compelled to confront this situation. To me, him not saying anything was cowardly. Not what my dad would have done. This was evasion, and I just drove over. I parked on the street by their house and used my key to let myself in. We have keys to each other's houses because I live alone, and if I needed help or anything, I could go there or they could check on me. My mom was expecting me and sitting in the living room. 2-story house, dad and sister upstairs. I asked my mom where dad was, and she said he's in bed. I said I need him to come downstairs and that there needs to be a talk. My mom, who I told not to worry, clearly was shocked because I'm acting shook as heck and not like someone who thinks this is normal and nothing to get scared about. Calls him down and he says, "What's up?" I look at him and say, "Listen, this is my mom. You need to tell her." And this guy has the nerve to say it. Tell her what? In an irritated voice. I won't lie. I got really scared. As I don't think I've ever stood up to my dad. There wasn't a reason to, but it's like standing up to an animal. But I thought to myself that I won't be pushing away from this because it was eating me up. So I stood on business and said, you need to tell my mom about the text I saw on your phone at dinner. And my mom snapped her head towards my dad. My dad was on a couch and my mom on a recliner where they were facing each other. But the recliner is in the corner of the room, so she was pivoted a little towards me and him. I was standing up. I think my dad kind of buckled under the pressure and started off with, about 3 months ago, Abby started messaging me. While talking, my mom looked over at me and with a concerned expression and the softest voice said, "It's okay. You can go home. I'll handle this." And I started getting all emotional because that felt like I know about this. I don't want you to be there for this. So I look back at my dad who's still talking and looking at the ground, and I start feeling the weirdest blend of sad and angry. I just left. Drove home, and here we are. I'm not sure it was the right call. I didn't see him say anything bad back to her. I feel like I reacted to things I shouldn't have because it wasn't my place. I made deals with both my parents to do things. Dad to tell her with his words, Mom to wait for something to happen by Saturday. I think I rushed this. I don't actually know what's going on. I'm scared because I think letting it happen naturally was the more mature thing to do. I mean, maybe you didn't handle it the best that night. However, I don't think that your dad was going to tell her.
It's never a child's responsibility to intervene in their parents' marriage.
No.
But you saw something that is not fair for you to have seen. And I don't think it was handled very... How old is OP?
29.
29? Yeah, I think it's just a rock and a hard place for you.
But I think ultimately your mom absolutely deserves to know. And I don't think your dad was going to tell her.
And she can handle it.
So after I left their house, my mom told me that night around 2 a.m. that they had been talking about it and that she had come to a conclusion. Once in the morning, she wanted to talk to me. She said, thank you for standing up for me, that it meant an incredible amount to her. Me and her haven't had the best relationship, honestly, and I guess it was surprising I would have sided with her on something against my dad. But regardless, she was incredibly thankful to know I would be there for her like that. Unfortunately, my sister happened to overhear what happened, and that really sucks. We're gonna hang out and watch shows later for what went down. My father had been messaged by his ex, who had gone through a divorce, and confided in him about it. At first, it was nothing out of the ordinary, but she started getting clingy and would say flirtatious things, and it was incredibly suggestive. Alongside risque pictures. Yeah, that's not okay.
That's an immediate block, buddy.
An
and if
immediate
you
block.
don't do an immediate block, you know what you're doing.
Yeah. This behavior had started in July. My dad admitted to being receptive and reciprocal, unfortunately, though he swears he never performed in person, suggesting an emotional-only affair. Still an affair. Oh, man.
Ex-wife.
I think both are wrong, but this is exactly what a lot of people were saying. It wasn't my business. I became too involved. Again, whether or not that's the truth, your dad was cheating on your mom and was not going to tell her. So
it became your business as soon as you saw that.
Exactly.
I'm not saying
I think you
that,
totally have a right to tell your mom, and she deserved to know.
It's not that like you shouldn't have done anything. When I say that it's not your place to be a mediator, it's just like this isn't a fair situation for you to be in.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Did you handle it the best? No. Would anyone really handle it the best?
No.
I mean, probably not. It's a hard place to be.
Yeah, at the end of the day, mom deserved to know. Dad wasn't going to tell her, so you stepped in. I will take that to heart because I am a bit off. I'm autistic, like a few had suggested, but that is not an excuse. It was not my place to take control of the situation. Moving forward, my mom found some comfort in knowing that he said the timelines match up, as we all have very busy lifestyles. Without too much personal detail, just understand a physical affair is far out of the question. By the way, what's never out of the question? Listening to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up OK Storytime. But there is a little bit left to this story. Any final thoughts?
I think moving forward, you're going to have to try to be as neutral as possible and let them work it out in whatever way they do.
Yeah.
You know, it's their marriage that now they're going to have to reckon with what happened. And like I said, you know, as soon as you saw that message.
All the information. There was an admittance of meeting once, but it wasn't planned and it was too brief to have really had anything happen. Basically, they saw each other at the store once and they caught up, but my sister had been there. My mom wants to talk about therapy because one of the topics that came up was how he felt he wasn't needed, and it felt nice to have someone rely on him. I guess that's about it. I'm sure he's going to talk to me, and I definitely don't want to lose him. I can move forward with someone who wants to move forward alongside me. And that's the end of that story.
Well, yeah, if your dad blames this on you, then he's an idiot.
He's an a-hole. Yeah.